Hello. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delayed start. We should have started at 5:30, but due to numbers, we're trying to get everybody in so we can accommodate everybody. My name is Councillor Anne Hooper, and I chair the North Area Local Area Committee. We have 4 area committees per year, and as it happens, this last one this current year is in Grenoside. Before we ask councillors to introduce themselves, I'll hand over to Philippa Bidette, who will give us the housekeeping arrangements. Just be aware as well, because of the numbers, if there is an emergency, we need to make our way to the door there to the exit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Before we start, there's just a few housekeeping arrangements to mention. Please can I request everyone to switch electronic devices to silent mode so as not to disturb the conduct of the meeting. There's no fire test planned for today. If there is an emergency evacuation, please take instruction from the staff present. The assembly point is in the community centre car park. The toilet facilities are situated through those doors on the right, straight at the end. The meeting today is open to the public and will be streamed live and for subsequent broadcast via the Council's website. You should be aware that the Council is a data controller under the Data Protection Act. Data collected during this webcast will be retained in accordance with the Council's published policy. By entering the meeting room, you are consenting to be filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting. Any member of the public due to speak at the meeting who does not wish to be filmed should say so at the start of their speech. The Chair will suspend the permission to film their contribution. The webcast will only record the audio contribution in that case. Members of the public are permitted to take photographs and to film or audio record the meeting in accordance with the protocol for webcasting, filming and recording of Sheffield City Council meetings. If anyone wishes to film or record this meeting, please make yourself known to us now. The Chair of the meeting does have discretion to withdraw or suspend this permission if the recording is disrupting the conduct of the meeting, is being undertaken in a manner which could capture personal information, or if a member of the public participating objects to being filmed. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Philippa. If we could now ask the councillors to introduce themselves. We'll start at the far left-hand end, please.
My name is Councillor Robert Rice. I am one of the councillors for East Ecclesfield.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Richard Williams and I represent the Stannington ward.
I'm Alan Woodcock and I represent East Ecclesfield ward.
I'm Councillor Mike Weaverly for West Ecclesfield ward.
Good evening. I'm Councillor Anne Whittaker for West Ecclesfield ward.
Yeah, as I stated earlier, I'm Councillor Anne Hooper. I'm councillor for the West Ecclesfield ward.
Hello everyone, I'm Councillor Julie Greycoat from Stocksbridge and Upper Don ward.
I'm Mark Whittaker. I'm also councillor for Stocksbridge and Upper Don. Thank you.
And I'm Councillor Janet Riddler, also Stocksbridge and Upper Don ward.
I'm Andy Mail. I'm the Community Services Manager for the North Flag.
In the audience as well, we've got members of the staff that actually work with us in this committee. The meeting is being webcast, so you will be able to see it and people out there will look what's going on. Before we proceed with the agenda, I'd like to explain how the meeting will work. We have a set agenda, and because of the local plan and the local media, you're all here tonight about the local plan. This meeting wasn't for the local plan, but we need to certainly go through the process and where we are with it. It's at very early stages, so we will go through. We have an official update from the officers at the City Council. If you can put it on the screen, we may not be able to see it, but I will paraphrase it. It's quite a lengthy document. This explains how the process will work. So this has been going on for some period of time, and we're looking to have a local plan that takes us to 2039. You see about the draft plan, and a report has gone to Strategy and Resources tonight. That was at 5 o'clock, and they were either saying nay or yea to the council proposals. Following on from that, if it is passed, and it will go to full council on the 14th of May at 2 o'clock, when it will be a full council meeting, specifically special for the local plan. Following on from the 14th, if it goes ahead and the council want to press ahead with the plans, there will be a formal consultation period which will commence on the 29th of May and go through to the 12th of July. There will be meetings, official meetings from the council and drop-in centres with planning officers in attendance. On top of that, local councillors will be holding public meetings in Grenoside, Chapeltown and Ecclesfield. That will be leading up and during the first part of the consultation process. So at this present stage, there isn't a lot that we can tell you, only the process. The number of houses is tremendous. On the previous plan, we had 38,000 and it was agreed that that was go ahead, and that the houses were in brownfield sites in the green belt, not in the green belt. The current proposals are for 3,600, is it, Mike? In the green belt, what the inspectors want, the government inspectors want, but the council want to have up to 4,200. They want some spare capacity. So it's not good. And out of the 14 sites, 6 of them are in our area, which is Chapeltown, Grenoside, Ecclesfield, and I think that's it, Burncross. So that's where we are. So Mike's going to update you as well, but at this point I don't want to take questions if possible. I want to get on with the business. Don't want to stop you commenting, and perhaps if you have specific questions to ask us, perhaps if you want to stay behind after we've done the other business, which will be interesting. It's all about Grenoside and parks and environment. Then we can, as councillors, speak to you individually or as in groups. So that's where we are. If Mike wants to just say a little bit, you want to add to that, Mike?
I'll deal with it.
Okay, thank you very much, yeah. So, I'll just explain how the rest of the meeting goes ahead. And then if one or two of you just want to say a little bit about the plan. We don't want to stop you speaking, we don't want to stop you. We really welcome you to be joining the consultation and make the consultation meaningful and try and stop the development in our area. I've lived in Grenoside for 55 years, as has my son and grandchildren. Use the school, use the facilities, and it's a wonderful place to live. And most people come and stay in Grenoside because of the open spaces, the green spaces and the woods, and the quietness, and it's just so good. So, as well as you being devastated, certainly your local councillors are devastated. I've been a councillor for 25 years and planning to save the green belt and look after the green belt, and this has really hit me and the councillor between the teeth, very mildly. So that's where we are. I'll just go through how the agenda will work, and then perhaps if one or two of you want to speak. I don't want to go on because I said this is a local area meeting for local issues, but you will more than be welcome to attend all the other meetings and state your case and your issues. And hopefully we can help you as local councillors to join in meaningfully and answer and write the correct questions to the government inspectors. We can't just say we don't want houses. We need to be specific of why we don't want them. And there are a lot of reasons why they shouldn't be built in our area. So thank you very much. Thank you for that. So moving on. Just take a drink, please. A drink. I've got one too. It's okay. So Before I'll just outline how the meeting is going to work. So first of all, we'll deal with the formal business, a bit of formal business, and then declarations of interest, minutes of last meeting, etc., etc. Our theme for tonight is parks, green spaces, and the environment. Quite poignant with the environment. We'll start with updates from Friends of Grenoside Park, who are working hard to develop the park and children's playground. Secondly, we will talk and we'll give a presentation from Sheffield Wildlife Trust and the Conservation Society, who are looking to build a pond in Wheaterwoods. It's being funded and that will go ahead, so they're going to tell us a bit about that. And then there'll be a presentation from the lead manager of the Sheffield Parks and Countryside, lead manager for our area. Following on from that, we'll have a breakout session, hence the tables, and we'd like to hear your thoughts and discussions. Councillors and officers will be around the table to hear from you. Following on from that, we'll move on to the North Area budget. We have to formally agree the budget. It's the final part of this financial year, and the Community Services Manager, Andy, will give a presentation. There will be a debate, and members of the committee will ask to note the report. We will then receive an update, an issue, and refer to the North Lake Policy Committee. And finally, we'll have public questions and answers. Are there anybody here who've got questions not relating to the local plan? No, that's good. So perhaps at the end we could deal with the local plan as such. That would be good. We'll try and get the rest of the agenda up and running and move on as quickly as possible, so it does give us some time afterwards. We had intent to finish at 7:30, but I think we can go on after that if required. But please let me assure you that you will have, over the coming weeks and months, the opportunity to give your views. The plan, if it is accepted and gone through council and through everything, will be come into force in July 2026. So it's quite a way down the road, and that's when it will be accepted. So we'll move on now to apologies of absence. Are there any, Philippa?
We've got apologies for absence from Councillor Will Sapwell.
Thank you. Exclusion of the press and public. There aren't any questions that we want the press and public not to hear, so that will continue.
Councillor Hooper.
Yes?
We've also got apologies from Councillor Penny Baker, and I believe that we've had communications that Councillor Craig Gamble-Pugh is intending to come but is running late.
Okay, so. Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
This meeting clashes with this meeting clashes with Bradfield Parish Council. Penny chairs it.
So declarations of interest. We have to declare interests. So has any members got any declarations of interest in this meeting? No? Thank you very much. The minutes of the previous meeting is the next on the agenda. I'll defer them to the end of the meeting so we can move on. And the next item then would be Friends of Grenoside Park. Over to you, Luke. And Lauren. Friends of Grenoside Park were formed 2 years ago. They've already done some work, but specifically formed to improve and update the children's playground in the park, which has got equipment that's some 40 years old and not suitable for today. If you can see the screen, but they will talk us through it. Yes, Lauren?
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. So yeah, as Alan said, I'm the chair of Friends of Grenoside Park and this is Adam, our treasurer. And given that the theme of today's meeting is parks, we've been asked to just come and give a talk about the work that we're doing. So we've put together this presentation, which hopefully is of interest. So it starts with just a short video that shows you how the park was when we, or it hopefully starts with a short video. It's that. Yeah. You just... We'll just get it from there.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you load it? Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. The video's not working. I'm sure you'll all be devastated. So just to explain who we are a small charity. We set up in 2023 as a charity. We operated for about a year before that as a volunteer group. And our aim is to raise enough money to update the playground equipment that is there currently. The playground in Grenoside is centrally located, and we think that if it were to meet its potential, it could be a real focal point for the village. And we think that new equipment would help to support families stay in the playground for longer and help children and parents form friendships. We also think that better and engaging equipment would be good for children's physical and mental health. So just in terms of the park as it is at the moment, this all started when we put a Freedom of Information Act request into the council just to try and ascertain how old the current playground equipment was. And this showed us that the swing set, the toddler climber and the roundabout are all over 30 years old. The junior climber unit was installed in 2018. The seesaw and spring toys were installed in 2013. And we also asked about, did the council have any plans to update the equipment? And we were told that there is no budget in the parks budget for new on groups fundraising on their behalf. So we set up Friends of Grenoside Park. We then carried out a survey in the local area, and we got 250 responses, which we were really, really pleased about. And we asked people what they thought of the park. So obviously there were a lot of responses to go through, but the main themes that came through were that people thought that the equipment looked old and it looked to be in a poor state of repair, and so it gave people the perception that it was unsafe, that the playground was sparse and the equipment that was there was a bit boring, really. There's a lack of paths and seating areas, so it's very difficult to get from one piece of equipment to another if you've got a wheelchair or a buggy. And there's no real lack, there's a real lack rather of inclusive play equipment, and so the park doesn't cater for children who are physically disabled or neurodivergent. So after we got the results of the survey, what we then did was create essentially a design brief to decide what we thought should go into the new playground, and Adam's going to take you through that.
Taking sort of on from those initial plans that we had back in the feedback, it kind of highlighted three main areas. So the engagement element. So we wanted to make it bright, engaging design, varying challenges, zip wires, climbing, trails, new pattern flooring, something more engaging for the children, embankment slide near the skate park. So these are what was coming back. Accessibility. So seating for parents, more places to sit in and around where the children would be playing. Toddler area, nearer the entrance, flat levels, safer, and pathways for all year round use, because currently the top end in winter is difficult for prams, wheelchairs and the likes. And this feeds into inclusivity, so ground level roundabouts, bucket inclusive swings, Wendy House quiet areas, safe spaces, and sensory panels for toddlers. So what have we achieved so far? We've successfully raised funds and invested in the park already. We've completed new fencing and flooring, which is levelled out for the future toddler area. There's 4 new sensory panels installed across the fencing. Zip wire was added in 2024 to the main area outside the park, and if anyone's been through, it's incredibly popular, incredibly busy. It's a really proud moment for us to see that in situ. And then finally, the Sheffield City Council have created new plans based on what we've fed in, based on those surveys, and that'll be up next as well. So the plans, as I say, were taken from all our surveys and what we've done. They include various zones for different ages, different abilities, inclusive and accessible equipment. These are early stages. They still look to go through what actual equipment's going to go in, but it's phased. We've thought about how it would be implemented due to the size. It would allow the park to be used all year round still, even if work was going on. And it should make it achievable, break it down into slightly more like bite-sized pieces. But, yeah, moving on, the next one. So the next steps. So essentially, we've sent feedback to Sheffield City Council. We've updated in its progress. We're going to be holding a consultation time at the Grenoside Gala, so we'll be there. We'll be doing some fundraising, so any donations, very welcome. But we'll be there to consultate, show the plans, get people's feedback in the area, really feel what they feel, what they want, is it missing anything, but ultimately, just to show you what we're trying to achieve here. So please, come along, share your thoughts, and we'll be there to answer any questions. And I think that's it.
Thank you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Is anyone? Is anyone with any questions? Yeah, Rob, at the end.
Yeah, so just a very quick question, because obviously we've got a lot of people in the room, and given we are in Grenoside, I would just like to say if anyone from the room or they know people who live in Grenoside who do want to get involved, help out, help fundraising, how best might they get in contact with you? Is there anything that you would particularly need from them to assist in your work in developing the park?
So, thank you both. You're two of the team who are not here tonight. But in a very short time, they've made massive improvements. What you didn't mention is the zip wire.
We did.
Did you? Wasn't listening. But thank you both very much. Thank you.
Alan. Councillor Williams wants to speak. Come this up.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, for 2 years I was Chair of the Communities, Parks and Leisure Policy Committee, and I'm currently Chair of the Charity Subcommittee. And I just know how much the city relies on Friends of groups. A telling phrase you used was, the Parks Department just doesn't have money, which is difficult to understand, but that's the world we live in. And the work that yourselves and other groups throughout the city do is remarkable, and thank you so much for it. Wearing my Stannington member hat, I am particularly interested because we're on the same journey you've been on. We're a little bit behind you. Again, it's being driven not by councillors but by a very active community group. But we are doing exactly what you have done, and I might come and talk to you about how it's been for you. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So the funds are difficult, but they have been to the parish council and they've been to the local area committee for funds, and we've tried to help them wherever we can. The next item agenda is the Grenoside Conservation Society and the Sheffield Wildlife Trust, who will tell you about a project in Wheater Woods. Thank you, Megan and Claire.
You're not Wildlife Trust. No, I know. Yeah, I'm not from the Wildlife Trust. I'm Ranger for Sheffield City Council. So I've just done a quick presentation. The LAC and Bradfield Parish Council have funded a pond to go into Wheater Wood. Ecclesfield Parish Council. Sorry. Okay. Yes, Ecclesfield Parish Council. and the lack of funded a pond to go into Weeterwood. So I'm the ranger for Weeterwood, and this is Megan, who's the chair of the conservation group. I've just put a map up to just identify where Weeterwood is, because there's a lot of woodland altogether, and I think some people aren't quite sure which bits are what. So the bit that's in green is Weeterwood. The bit on the left, as you're looking at it, is Warncliffe, and the bit on the right is Grenoside, which is Sheffield and Rotherham Wildlife Trust. Weeter is a green flag woodland, so that's a bit like blue flag beaches. It's an award-winning woodland. It's also a local nature reserve, and so we wanted a project kind of to add a bit of a different habitat. So we had a look at whether we could install a pond in Weeter. We walked round about 2 years ago now with the council ecologist, and he helped us identify areas that would be suitable to put in a pond. So where is the pond going to go? This is Bower Lane entrance, and I don't know if people know there's a glade which I've circled in blue there, so we're looking at that area. And then this is just to help people visualise where I'm talking about. Some of you might know that.
You just see the Bower Lane entrance on the right-hand side photo.
Yeah. So that's how it looks at the minute. Yeah, next slide, please. So what type of pond are we looking at creating? So it's going to be a wildlife pond. That means it's going to have a gentle sloping profile for wildlife. At its deepest, it'll be about 70 centimetres. We're hoping it'll be rain-fed. And I don't know, there's a lot of water runoff that comes down the footpaths in that area, and we're hoping to be able to kind of channel some of that so that the pond can act as a bit of a holding point for the water that comes down the hill. We're going to be planting it with native species. It will be fenced, the pond. We're going to put hibernaculum, which is a winter home for amphibians, so it's kind of like a log pile with like soil on top of it and grass and wildflowers, and they kind of creep inside it and sleep in the winter over there. And then another part of the works will be some works to the trees in the clearing, so we'll be crown lifting some of the trees, and on one side they've already been coppiced previously, so we're going to kind of recoppice those trees, and that's just to prevent shading and leaf fall into the pond. So what are the benefits of wildlife pond? I just thought I'd start with saying on this slide that we've lost 500,000 ponds over the last 100 years in the UK, and another figure that's talked about is that a third of ponds have gone in the UK in the last 50 years. So we're hoping that the pond will help the wildlife locally. It will attract frogs, toads, newts, everything that people love about ponds. It helps provide natural pest control, like having a good amphibian population helps control slugs, that kind of thing. We're hoping it'll provide a good educational opportunity for local children, so they can pond dip in the pond, see frogs, see the life cycle, tadpoles. Ponds are a hotspot for biodiversity. Having a good network of ponds in the landscape helps boost wetland species and their survival. And again, I've mentioned it in the education, but ponds are always a good place for people to connect with wildlife. You sit by a pond and you can watch dragonflies and that kind of thing. And then the other thing is as a reservoir to just hold back water in the hydrology system. And this, I feel embarrassed about. So I didn't do graphic design at university, so I've gone on to paint and tried to draw a little kind of my interpretation of what the pond will be. So at the minute, there's a desire line through the middle, and that's going to be moved over slightly to the right-hand side. I've got kind of a nice wavy edge pond there, an interpretation of the fencing, and also the little green lump is the hibernaculum. Okay. Any quick?
A gate in the fence as well, so that people can access the pond. It's mainly to keep animals and children from running straight into it. It's not preventative. You can't. It's not keeping people out. It's just to stop it being a dangerous area.
Okay. And that's it. If there's any.
But a big thank you to both the parish, Ecclesfield Parish, and to the City Council for funding it.
Yeah, thank you.
More than pleased to do that. Could you just tell me, I'll ask a question, when the start date will be?
It's not been decided yet. There's been a bit of a change of the woodland officers have changed staffing, and we've got a new woodland officer coming into post next week. So we'll be talking to her about that, and we're also looking at like the impact on on the woodland, and whether that would be looking at maybe September.
Yeah.
But I know it's dependent on the funding as well. So I think there's like a number of factors. So at the minute we've not.
Yeah. There's always the issue of nesting birds, and so it's trying to get the balance of our activities over what's right for the woodland.
Perhaps early autumn.
Yeah, I think that would be, and it will fill up quickly then as well with the rainfall.
Yeah, at the moment it's going to be a bit of a dry place.
Yeah.
Has anybody got any questions or comments? I think it's really good, and it's certainly good for children.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I move on to the Parks presentation overall, I'd just like to ask George Clark to tell us a bit about the History Society and the upcoming exhibition. Thank you, George. Do you want to come and get a mic?
Evening, everybody. I'm afraid I haven't got a fantastic presentation like the last two people, so apologies for that. My name's George. I'm chair of the Grenoside and District Local History Group. We're a group of people who are very interested in discovering and researching and learning about the local history of the area, which is very interesting. We're a very friendly group, and we're looking for more members, so if you want to come along and join us, please come and see me. We meet every Tuesday morning in the community centre. One week we have an outside speaker coming and telling us a bit about the local history. We have one week we go on a visit, another week we research in our workshop, and the fourth week a member gives a presentation. We do have a fantastic archive down in the lower hall of the community centre. So if anybody's interested in looking and researching local history, you're very welcome to come and look at our archive, particularly when there's a workshop going on. And you can see our programme. It's on Facebook and on the website. And even if you don't want to join the group, you're very welcome to come to our meetings when there's a speaker giving a good talk about some aspect of local history or history itself. So if you'd like to come along, do come and see me, and I'll tell you all about it. So thank you very much for letting me tell you all about it. And we do have an exhibition on the 17th and 18th of May in the lower hall in the community centre from 10 till 4. Free admission, lots of refreshments, and you can come and look at the work we've done researching local history of the area. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to tell you all about it.
Thanks, George. Yeah. I believe that the north of the city is quite privileged to have the number of groups and societies and things that people can do. And I know in other areas of Sheffield, they're jealous of what we've got. That's in the north. So you can stretch from Stannington to Stocksbridge, right around our area in Chapeltown, etc. We've got art groups, just everything you can imagine. and it's just wonderful. And I know in the southwest of the city they're very envious when I talk to residents up there of what we've got here. Grenoside and the north is special. Thank you. Can I call upon? Yeah. So next is Dave Rice, who is our parks manager, area parks manager. He's going to tell us a little bit about the parks in the north. Thanks, Dave. Sir, I can understand your frustration. Look. As I said, sorry, if you could let us continue, if you let us continue the meeting, we can get to your part later, and we will have more time to discuss it. But while you're interrupting, we're not going to make progress. I know they are. It was advertised in the Star, it's been advertised in Facebook, but it's not a local planned meeting. That wasn't a planned meeting neither. We had 50 people yesterday who we spent an hour with telling what the process is and what they can do and how we can involve you. But if you just let us continue, we can talk with you after and discuss. We're as concerned as you.
Apologies for arriving late due to the traffic. I may have already missed this. It may have already been considered, but has there already been a discussion about moving the public questions up the agenda? If not, can I propose that is considered, please?
No, we're not moving them up. We've had no public questions regarding this meeting. People have come for something that's not on the agenda. We're quite willing to listen. We've only been talking just about 40 minutes. If you can let us get the business done, we're nearly at the end, and then we can deal with the questions solely on the local plan.
Chair.
Can you please let us continue?
Sorry, Chair. I've proposed that we consider moving public questions up the agenda.
We're almost at the end, Craig. Please let us continue.
Would any member of the committee second my proposal, please? Would anybody second that proposal?
Please let us move on and get on. The people that have come for the local plan we can deal with. We will deal with it.
Chair,
please, Craig, can you be quiet and let me control this? I'm chairing it. Sorry, please be quiet.
That is a proposal that has been. Sorry, that is a proposal. It's been proposed and seconded.
Dave, can you continue?
It needs to move to a vote. Any amendment at any committee of the City Council that is proposed and seconded by any two councillors, which this has been, needs to move to a vote. And if any members of the committee wish to vote against moving that item of business, to give these people a chance to have their say, then they can account for their decision making.
Please, let's continue. So let us move on. If you all continue, I will abandon the meeting and no one will get to speak. So please be quiet. I am not God, but please be quiet. Dave, could you continue? Mike, please speak. We can abandon the meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Last night I spoke to 50 residents and gave them background on where this is. And I want to do the same again tonight. But I think it's only fair that this committee, which was already set up to deal with the issues on the agenda, gets through these issues quickly, and then I can have my turn to talk to you, because I do want to talk to you in more detail about this. Yes, but this meeting was organised to carry something out that is separate to this. You've come along to ask some questions. We will deal with it. If we get this agenda item done now, we'll move straight onto it. Is that okay? And we'll get the parts done now. So what I will propose is that we'll have to not do the breakout, we'll do the parts of the countryside, and then we'll move straight on to your question and answers about the local plan. Is that okay? Thank you. Okay.
Dave, could you continue, please?
I feel like I'm giving a presentation nobody wants to hear. Talk about a tough crowd. I'll skim through it, I'll keep it quick, because I know that people have got things on their mind. So I'm Dave Rice, I'm the area manager for parks in the north and the northeast of the city. I've actually been in this role now for 3 weeks. I was away for a couple of years, I did manage the patch for a good 10 years before that. So I do know my way around, I'm a local lad as well. I've been asked to come along just to kind of do a bit of an overview of the park, and there's a planning application gone in for Exclusions Park, and I'll touch on the reasons why and futures there. Deliberately not talking about Grenoside Park because the friends over here, and I haven't met them since I came back into post yet. And I will take a few questions at the end as long as they're not about housing. So, what we told environmental planning, landscape architects, if we were building a park from scratch, if we had a bottomless pit of money, this is what it would look like. And I'm not going to read through this. Most of you don't want to hear it anyway, but it'd be overlooked by housing. You'd have some sort of income coming in from car parking to keep reinvesting in it. And this is an active parks concept, and it is a concept because we're never starting from scratch and we've never got a bottomless pit of money. But if we had, that's what it would look like. Go to the next slide. So this is Exclusions Park, not looking like the active park at all that we've just seen. The screen grab's slightly out of date because we have managed to put tennis courts on one of the tarmac patches. The other tarmac patch there is redundant, and that's something that we're trying to develop. We've refreshed the playground as well. So small steps in Exclusions. It's not there yet. It could be so much better. It's flat, it's linear. It could be the mill houses of the north. The problems that I've got with Exclusions is everything to the east side, everything Morrison side, the football pitches, is now designated as a flood zone. Cannot go there with any sort of development. There's more flood alleviation work to do. We've done the scrape and we've put the channel in there and we protect the houses. It works. It could be tidier, it could be better. And with the changing climate, we will need to do a little bit more. Coming this way, what we found, if we just have the next slide, what we found running across the park, running from pretty much the entrance of Church Street, diagonally across, roughly 200 metres long, is a high-pressure gas main. It's a cadent gas main, and there's an easement over it, which means we can't touch anything groundwork-wise, 6 metres either side of it. So we've got 12 metres wide, perhaps 200 metres long area that we can't touch as well. There's mature trees in there that we've got to take the root zones of. So getting planning permission to do anything in Exclusions has been like putting the tail on the donkey. But we are trying for that redundant tarmac pad. And one of the ideas, if we can have the next slide, one of the ideas that's come forward is something called a play zone. The Football Foundation nationally are funding loads of these. They're basically a posh multi-use games area. The Football Foundation put money in. As we've looked into it more, yes, the Football Foundation do put money in, but there's a massive gap which we have to find. So whether a play zone is the answer for Ecclesfield or not is literally still a work in progress. It might be better value for everybody and a better facility if we use some off-the-shelf solutions to that pad. Yeah. Quick overview of the service. I'll rush through because I know you guys have got other things on your mind. It's hot. But almost 4,000 hectares of parkland in the city and everything that goes with it. So we're looking after 4,000 hectares. In this area particularly, the parks teams also look after the green spaces on the housing estates. 34% of the city's social housing falls in the northeast of the city. When we look at the housing around Stocksbridge, Deepcar, Stannington, that kind of north housing, more than half the sheltered housing in the city is maintained by the guys that look after the parks. So that does put extra pressure on the teams. We do try to work with TARAs, Friends of Groups, town councils, all that kind of stuff, parish councils. And I've put a note there that fantastic. We're looking forward to the V-Day celebrations, and a massive thanks for everybody who's been involved in that in Ecclesfield. Not going to dwell on this. It's the slide that everybody's familiar with seeing. It's the budget cuts. If that line, if that arrow had stayed flat, it would actually show a real life cut because fuel, everything's gone up. So if staying flat would actually be a loss of money into the parks, we've lost about 50% in funding to the park service since 2011. I don't want to dwell on it. It's where we are, but we can't ignore it either, I'm afraid. This was some work in High Green a few years ago. It was a partnership approach with the parish council and the city councillors, where we went round the schools, including the Pacers Centre. We went round High Green in Bloom, a lot of other groups. And these are some of the good things that happened. Their ideas, really. But we pulled it off in High Green. It can be done. And moving on. Sadly, there's always things that we didn't deliver. There's always going to be. Before I take any questions, we'll have a bit of a role reversal here. Other than Councillor Whittaker, questions for you. Does anybody know where this is? What park's here? Chance to shine, Anne? Go on. Westwood Country Park. We've got a couple more. Where do we think there? Where do you think that was? Ecclesfield Park, well done. Final one, then I'll take questions and shut up. Anybody know that site? I'm trying to get my head around the risk assessment on the rocking course and how close that climbing frame is to those houses. Any guesses? That's Angram Bank. Obviously, the playground's now at the top of the site where it's overlooked and a lot less antisocial behaviour. I have rushed through that, guys, because I fully get where you're coming from, but if there are any questions, then please.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah. John?
The recycling bins, the only thing we do is we do the dual use bins where it's kind of dog fowl and general waste. Is that better? We do have to get a van close to the bin 20. Back in the day we had the little gators, the little almost golf carts, whereas now unless we've got a depot in the park, we've literally got to use a flatbed transit to get there. But it's something we can pick up, and I know the Friends of Grenoside are here, so it's not a no, it's something we'll look at. I think we need a compromise. We need them in the right places, but we need them to be emptied 5 times a week.
Thanks, Dave, for the presentation.
Could I just say, I'm a member of the Communities, Parks and Leisure Committee within the main City Council, so I see a lot of the developments that happen citywide, but I've also been taking note of the work that's been going into Exclusions Park, especially around the play zones, the new tennis courts, and the kind of developments around there, especially regarding the floodplains. And I would like to thank, on behalf of the residents of Ecclesfield, of Grenoside, for the work you're doing in the parks kind of across the north area. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work you put in and for the developments that you're doing to make sure it's a brilliant place. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you. So, to move things on, we had at item number 9 the breakout session, which we will postpone. We have two other pieces of business to do, which we will do after we've had discussion and some questions on the local plan. So over to you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Good evening, everybody. Very nice to see you come along. And I did this session yesterday in the reading room. We got more people there than we planned to have. But anyway, we did this and got through it. So, what I'm going to do is give you some background about why we are where we are, how we've arrived here, and what you've heard a little bit about what goes after this, but you need a little bit more. So, I'm going to start by going back to 2019. Now, in 2019, a local plan was prepared which had significant development in the Greenbelt. It was never got to council because it was leaked to the campaign for the protection of rural England and went public. And as a result, the council pulled the plan and started again. That process arrived to councillors in 2023 when we were presented with 5 different spatial options to choose from as to way to take this plan forward. 3 of the options involve primarily building on brownfield only and any brownfield in the green belt, so places like Dyson's Works, Norton Aerodrome, places like that, which are what Labour now call grey belt. They were in that plan. That plan has been with government inspectors now for a year. They've been to Sheffield. They've held 2 hearings. They've gone through it in some considerable detail. And they decided at the end of last year to pause. And wrote to the council on the 7th of February to say that, in their view, the plan wasn't sound, and it was to deliver 38,000 houses, which was not sufficient employment land for it to be deemed sound and to be progressed. They advised that additional 3,560 homes needed to be built in the Greenbelt and 52.7 hectares of employment land. Employment land is industrial and commercial units that employ people. Okay?
So, in plain speak, warehousing, effectively.
Yeah, for example. So, the council were tasked with putting a plan together. And the 3 major parties were involved individually in looking at this and making recommendations. We weren't happy at all because Liberal Democrats do not believe in building in the Greenbelt at all. We never have, and we continue to maintain that position. But the government have insisted that this has to be done. And have said, if this plan isn't put forward and meets the inspector's requirements, then we will start yet again on the local plan process but quickly done, to perhaps arrive at a higher target than what we've been given. So that's the situation we're in. So the plans were brought forward, we gave our views, but those views have not been taken into account. So we have ended up in the north of this city with 37% of the houses that the inspectors want and 70% of the employment land. We don't think that's right. It's not fair, it's not balanced, and the rest of the city is not taking up the slack. And there are plenty of packages of land that are out there that could have been promoted and haven't been. So we are not happy at all. So, tonight, the Strategy and Resources Policy Committee meet, and the process is they are the first ones to receive this plan and comment and make recommendations to full council about adopting the plan. That meeting started at 5 o'clock. It probably will still be going on. And if you're lucky and if you want to, it is webcast, and you can go and actually view that meeting after this meeting tonight. And as a result, we decided that we are going to put together some public meetings. 3 of them, one in Chapeltown, one in Grenoside, and one in Ecclesfield in June, after the 14th of May full council meeting. So then we know exactly where we are. At the moment, it's supposition. This plan could fall at full council should members vote against it. Or it could get passed. Until we know that situation, we can't tell you very much. And that is the point at which we want to talk to you all about the outcomes and the next steps. Because the next steps is a 6-week public consultation. And we want not hundreds, but thousands of people to respond to that and give their views. And if they give their views in a constructive way, that set of questions and queries are compiled together by the council and must be submitted to the inspectors for consideration. So you, the public, have got the full opportunity for 6 weeks from the 29th of May to make your views known on this, and the more you do, the better. Because the inspectors will look at those comments, and if they're constructive and sensible, they will challenge that plan that they've received. The next phase after that is the inspectors have to come back and do what's called a stage 3 hearing, in public, in Sheffield. So you have another chance to follow up on what you did in the consultation period, to go to those public meetings and ask questions of the inspectors and their views of the soundness of this plan. It cannot be adopted until, at the earliest, July next year. And what usually happens is these things slip, and it depends how long the inspectors take to review it. So what we have done is 2 things. There are people in this plan whose livelihoods are affected. And there are people in this plan who will be directly impacted by the level of construction work that will go on to have to deliver what is in the plan. We have worked with a group of people to put some public questions to full council. And they will have the opportunity to speak there and give their views. And there were people who will be there whose livelihoods are at risk, giving their views. Because we can say what we want on our views. It's far better coming from the public and influencing the decision that the members have got to make. So that's where we are. Happy to take any questions.
I'm just confirming, sorry, it's very loud. If at the full council meeting on the 14th of May, the council, you all should vote against it, and I know you said it could be then doomed, but am I right that then there's a fear government then dictate you will build here, here and here, so you've got this worry of having to approve it?
Yes. It depends on, you know, Sheffield's a big city.
Yeah.
It may be that the inspectors take a view on this, and the government says, go back and have another look.
But realistically, what's the chances of that?
I think the problem we've got is politically, the government will want to say a big city is now fell in line with what we want to do. And that is the problem. But for us, I'm more bothered about how it impacts our communities and what happens here. And we must do our utmost to get our point across, not only in the council chamber on the 14th of May, but also in the consultation period for the 6 weeks after. Because that is the way that we will actually influence what's going on.
Would it become effective like a local pressure group was formed, rather than people each individually? You know, everybody individually will live there, use them. Would it be all more organised as an organised group of people?
I'll tell you why we can't do that. We haven't got time. We have to submit the questions this week. So there is not the time to get that in place for us to be able to actually get local people to put the questions in. So we've got them sorted, they're ready to go, and they're ready to submit. Well, you'll find out when we actually, if you watch the webcast on the 14th of May, we don't want to reveal the questions because they have gone off to the council officers. And they have to respond. So these questions are questions of individuals. So when you're losing your livelihood, it's really a personal thing for them. And it's their question that they want to put. And we'll see what response we get, and whether we can put in a supplementary question to follow up on the day. So all those processes are now in place and running, because that is the best way to influence what goes on the day in the council chamber. We are not aware that any land has been sold to a developer, no. There is a lot of land sales in this part of the city which have been opportunistically bought in the anticipation of the land value going up. We know that's going on. We know where it's happening. We know the sorts of schemes and ruses that are being used to try and get change of use. This is happening as we speak. We're dealing with planning and enforcement to follow up on some of these things that are happening, to get in and ask questions about what the use of the land is being done. Yes. Okay, well, that's a standard period of consultation that's applied in this situation. It is 6 weeks. The key thing is that you know when it starts, and you will know when it finishes, and you know how you can put your comments in and the information. Hopefully nobody's away for 6 weeks and will miss it. But there will be information, usually at libraries and other places where people can go and meet council officers and ask about it. But the key thing is, get a response in. Say what you think and give your views. I can't see it. Yes. Okay. A couple of answers to that. There's a lot of people who cannot get on the housing ladder. And affordable homes is a key issue. And the second point, and really important point that you won't know, is there are 25,000 people on the council house waiting list in this city. Just let me finish, please. There are 25,000 people, and I can tell you, because we deal with it all the time, there are 13,000 people actively bidding to get a council house, which we haven't got. And there are so many single-parent families getting displaced under, there's so many getting displaced, going into temporary accommodation. We've now passed the 2,000 mark of families in hostels and bed and breakfasts in this city. It's not as bad as Manchester, where it's over 10,000, but that's bad enough. Rob?
I would like to say, I'm 29. I talk to a lot of my friends. I am thankful in the fact that, due to my circumstances, I have been able to afford to buy a house. A lot of my friends that I have gone to university with are not able to afford to get on the housing ladder. They do not have the security to start a family. And going back to the conversation, the question about birth rates, try starting a family with your parents sleeping in the room next door. This is what we are facing as a city. We are trying to find a solution to it. The conversation has to be about the suitability, the affordability of the houses, and what makes us as Sheffield different in the fact that we have got a lot of brownfield land. Part of this pressure is about the need for people to have security in their housing. I'll pass back over to Mike.
Just a bit more information. The waiting list in Sheffield is over 23 years. So there is a huge pressure to get houses built. But this isn't about getting houses built. This is about proportionately applying these houses across this city, and this has not happened. And that is what we're not happy about.
It's not just houses.
No, it's employment land as well. Yeah. Yeah. The officers, what happens is that the sites in the Greenbelt, the officers put forward the ones that they thought were developable. Significantly lower number of sites to choose from the members were presented with. So we're talking about 20 odd, okay, with what the members had. Our view was we could have still had a better spread across the city, but it hasn't happened. So you will all see what happens on the 14th of May, because at the end of the day, it will come down to a vote in full council. Pardon? Yes, it will, because all the votes are recorded, so you'll know exactly who's voted what. I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I can hear on. Oh no! Shall we get a microphone?
I live on Creswick Lane. My name's Hayley. So this will impact on our home. And if it's so disperse in terms of there's nothing the other side of town, as you've said, generally, and everything is this side of town, and you as councillors are supposed to be representing us. How have you not been able to influence the council to re-look at why everything is this side and using the green sites this side? Because it does say on the government website that we're supposed to have a very exceptional circumstances to do these builds. And again, coming back to the point about the population, where are these people? And you've said there are 20,000 waiting list. So I'm just trying to, one, it needs to be changed in terms of all the sites need to be the other side of town as well as this side of town. And it's, if that's I don't know what an exceptional circumstance is, and I'm just wondering what you're all doing about it. If you can't influence your own colleagues, what are we going to do?
Influencing colleagues, yes, but the City Council has 3 major groups and one subgroup. We are the second in majority, but if the other councillors on the council from other groups vote for it, we can't do whatever we can do. We've 27 councillors. We need to stop this going ahead to have 43 votes against it.
I don't know. If I'm honest, the answer is no. We will be outvoted. Okay. It will fall on party political grounds. That's how it will operate on the day. 14. The Greens have 14. Well, the Greens, how can I describe the Greens? Let me describe the Greens one easy way. When we selected the spatial option of not building in the green belt, the Greens proposed that we should build in the green belt. Yes. That's where they were. Now, I'm not expecting any change from them. Okay, they haven't been cancelled. This is what's called a fallow year for us. All the metropolitan districts are not having elections.
Mike, can I just say on the council cycle, it has been known for years that there is not going to be an election tomorrow. Sheffield elections run in a 4-year cycle. The first year there are elections, the second year there are elections, the third year there are elections, the final year there are no elections. The next elections in Sheffield will be in 2026. There are other elections happening around the country, most notably Hull and East Riding, which is closest here, Doncaster, all over the place. Fallow years in a 4-year cycle is how Sheffield City Council elections have worked for decades. There has never been plans to have an election tomorrow. It has not been cancelled. There have been ones cancelled and postponed across the country, but not in Sheffield.
At the end of the day, we don't know. We know where we stand. I know it's not helpful to you, but that's all I can say. How the other parties will vote, I have no idea. Let me take this gentleman over here. He's had his hand up a long time.
Good evening. By my calculation, with these new proposals, the north of the city is only going to have 4% of all of the build that's going on across the city. So if we're going to oppose where they are being proposed, where do you propose that they are built? Because sorry, I don't know your name, councillor on the end there's proposed. I don't want my 2-year-old to still be living with me when she's 35. So we do need some building.
Yeah. I'll answer that directly.
And where are you going to propose that it should be?
Yeah. The 38,000 homes and where they're going to be built have already been determined within the brownfield sites in the city. That's the plan that was put to the inspectors last year. Yes, because we haven't got much brownfield in our area. That's the reality of it. So nothing's agreed until we get to the 14th of May. And then we will find out what the outcome will be. That is why, once we know, we can come back to you and decide what to do next and advise and guide you on the next steps for the 6-week consultation process.
So that means
this lady's talking, excuse me. Yeah.
Significant proportion that bought by buy-to-let landlords. We can do something about that as a city, and we can do something about that as a country. We can control who is able to buy these properties. That inflates property prices. That makes it unaffordable for people like Robert's friends. That is part of the problem. The solution isn't to keep building and building and building. The solution is to utilise what we've got, control what we've got, stop the greedy landlords taking all the money, taking all the property, and allow people to have their own homes. That is the solution.
I don't disagree. However, we are in a situation where, in 2 weeks' time, the City Council votes on building houses and employment land in the Green Belt. That's the reality of where we are. That's what we have to deal with. And that's why we need you to support us in our aims to try and make change in terms of this proposal, because unless something happens, it's going to be a long, difficult 15 years of housing development and employment development in this part of the city, on narrow, winding roads, where we've got flood risk problems. We just heard about Ecclesfield Park, Stage 3 flood zone. Where do the watercourses go at this part of the city? They end up in Ecclesfield Common. And building large scale on this part of the city in Greenbelt with watercourses that run straight down there will go back to flooding. I can tell you, I used to go to White Bear a long time ago. Those that can remember it, I know I'm showing it. I've been stood in there, unable to get out, phoning my wife to say, I can't get back. Because it's flooded. And the park floods. So that's the reality of it. There's a lot more to go in terms of challenging what's happening here, and these are the sort of things we're going to pick up.
Yeah, just one more. I've just got one or two councillors that may wish to add to the debate. Craig, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, my name's Craig. I'm one of the Labour councillors. I represent the East Ecclesfield ward, which is Ecclesfield, Chapeltown, and then the first part of Burn Cross. In terms of what happens if the council doesn't agree, the council meeting next week is to agree that the current set of proposals go out for public consultation. Now, I was under the impression that all of the political groups that make up the City Council had been given the same briefing and the same information by the council officers. And part of the briefing that we've received as the Labour group on the council was that the planning inspectorate, who are appointed by the government to check the viability of these local plans, has said pretty categorically, we tried one version of the local plan which they've looked at and said, no, we need more land, more housing. This is our second opportunity, and if it is voted down in the full council meeting, they will then refer it back to the government and it will be taken control of, but probably by the planning inspectorate. And that will mean that not only will it be frustrating and difficult for you to have your voices, but also it means it strips away that power from us as your elected representatives. So that's the first thing. Now, if anybody else has got a different view or has been briefed differently, it would be really good to share that information. I also want to clarify, I don't see this as a party political issue. I don't know how many people here see whether or not we build on things that we value as a party political issue. I don't see it. When I've heard the word we being used, I've thought maybe we're meaning this committee or the council. It seems as if some of those times we've heard we have been talking about a political party that's not the one that I'm part of. So I'd like to make it clear that when those public meetings are being planned, I've not, as a Labour Party councillor, I haven't been told when and where they are. So I haven't had the option of coming along and hearing what people have said. So I'd appeal to my colleagues that we need to be working cross-party on this. Please let me know when the meetings are. For members of the public from my ward, please email me, text me, WhatsApp me or ring me to let me know, just in case I haven't been tipped off. Now, I've got a pretty strong view on this. I live on Church Street, so for me, if I try and leave my ward one way through Chapeltown, there's a huge housing site there. If I try and leave my house further up my road when it turns into the Wheel, I've got another huge housing site there. I've been feeling sick to the pit of my stomach since I received the briefing that everybody else did about this during February, because it makes such a significant change to the nature of our community. However, we have a responsibility as councillors to not allow a situation where Sheffield loses control of its planning. Because what that would mean is that any developer could just say, we've bought the field behind your house and we're going to put a planning application in. There's no justification for us as a council to turn it down, because there's no plan that says the building should happen somewhere else. It will be a free-for-all. It will be driven by profit and developers. And talking of profit, I think the lady who spoke about the amount of housing that's just being gobbled up by private sector landlords is an absolutely excellent point. And I think usually what happens in the council committees is that if the topic of discussion goes on to topics where councillors have got a vested interest or a personal interest or a financial interest, for example, if the topic of private renting comes up, councillors are usually obliged to declare an interest if, for example, they are private landlords themselves. I notice people aren't forthcoming. I've got my own mortgage. I don't own any other properties that I rent out to anybody else, so that's my declaration. But I see it as my job, and I'll wrap up now, I see it as my job to represent the views and the voices of the people in my constituency, in my ward, and that's what I will do my best to do. But I need to know, really, from the public, not about whether you want this development, because I don't think people do, but I want to know, do you want us to take that gamble and vote against having a local plan, which might mean that we cede all say over planning across the city? Because that's the gamble that would mean if we were to vote against it next week. There are also sites in the other parts of the city that border onto the Green Belt, South East Sheffield, Bayton, Mosborough, etc. The same controversy there. There weren't very many sites identified in the southwest of the city, in and around Sheffield Hallam. One of the things that the Labour... Yeah, I'm wrapping up. One of the things that the Labour group did is we said, actually, we do need to spread housing allocation out. We asked the planning officers to go and look again at the southwest. The MP's office identified 17 additional sites which they thought would be worth looking at, of which the planning officers said it would only be possible to look at a handful, I think 4 additional. As far as I understand it, the Liberal Democrats, who hold all but 2 of the council seats in that part of the city, as a side issue, were not happy to support any of those additional 17 sites that the MP's office brought forward.
Could you move on, please? We're talking about the other end of the city.
I'm being silenced, thank you.
There are reasons for the southwest. A huge swathe of that is in the Peak Park. Will control the planning. There's not the land like we've got here. We've got a massive amount of green belt and we've been punished. We've been punished. So yes. We've been proposing for the last, how long, Mike, not to build in this area and build elsewhere? In other parts of the city, we had choice. All the three parties had choice where to build. We had red lines where we didn't want to build in our area.
I've already explained that 38,000 houses have already been determined and agreed with the inspectors. And that's right. But that doesn't mean to say that therefore we have to make it up by taking all the greenbelt development in the north. So that's no, we're not. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to last couple of questions, I think, and then we'll close down. Yes, please. Council. Okay. Yeah. Right. The one thing we haven't had, and we have to have, is the infrastructure plan. We haven't had it yet. So we've had to make decisions on housing and employment land with no infrastructure plan and no flood risk assessment. No, this is local. The local government have to prepare an infrastructure plan for this plan and a flood risk assessment for this plan. The officers have still not released that to the members. So we have been making decisions with not all the information made available to us. And we can only comment on that when we get it. And we've got to comment on and put questions to full council this week without knowing what the infrastructure plan or the flood risk assessment is. They have to have it. They have to have it for that meeting, yes, but there's nothing we can do about that. Okay, I think we're going to have to just take the last question here, please, if that's okay.
Hello. You've given us lots of information tonight. Most of it would be very useful when we come to write our letters to the council.
Yeah.
So, two things. Could I ask, I'm assuming that this minutes have been taken of this meeting, and how can we access those, please, so that we can gain that information? That's the first point.
Yeah.
And secondly, if that isn't available, how can we get that information that we need? Can you suggest the things now, give us a list of things that we can argue these points on, please?
Thank you. Yeah, the minutes of this meeting will be available in the next week or so you'll be able to see that online on the website. We can share. It's on. If you go on Sheffield City Council website, there's a link to Sheffield City Council meetings. If you sort of scroll down the list, you'll find North Local Area Committee,
Lovely. Can you give us a date, please? Because this deadline is fast approaching. So can you give us a date when we can access that?
Can't give you an exact date because...
Well, it's the 1st of May tomorrow. And this meeting's on 14th. So that's like 10 working days.
Can we have a date, please, when we can access...
Holidays.
I mean, you've written the minutes now. You've got that information. Can I ask when they'll be available?
The issue about asking questions, after the end of this week, that's it. So we've prepared and done the work to get the questions to go to full council on the 14th of May. What we are then arranging after the 14th of May is 2 public meetings, one on the 16th in Chapeltown and one in the community centre here on the 22nd, to help you in the process of putting questions together to go for the consultation. So we've prepared that and a wash-up in the Gatty Hall on the, I think, 6th of June. Well, the deadline for questions is the end of this week, so we've dealt with that. So in terms of consultation, you've got 6 weeks from the 29th of May.
Could it just say on the 29th of May, when the consultation starts, the City Council and the planners will come out, they will be holding meetings, public meetings, they'll also be holding drop-in sessions during the day, and I would hope at the weekends as well, when people aren't working, for people to ask the planners the questions as well.
Could I just say that the consultation will be open on the Sheffield City Council Have Your Say website on the 29th of May. It is an accessible website, so people should be able to do it. I believe there will also be in-person opportunities, so if you are not online, there are ways of doing it in person or by writing. The 6-week date will be the 11th of July. For those that might have issues, either they are out of the country for 6 weeks, if you're on holiday for 6 weeks, I very much wish to be you right now. But I'm sure if you have got pressing issues that there will be neighbours, friends, associates around you that would be able to file contributions to the consultation on your behalf. So I understand the concern, and I just wanted to lay out all of the information regarding the consultation, because we do want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to have their say on this.
Just got 2 comments, one from Philip.
Just to...
That's why we've prepared questions for the meeting in the council from residents. Yeah.
Essentially, I thought he said, well, we best go for it because if not, the government will work. So I don't think that's good at all. So we need to reject it and come up with a better idea. Why do we go back to the government?
Yeah. So what happens in the meeting is there is an hour for public questions, and there will be questions on it from other parts of the city. So we've limited it 1 hour. So that's it. We've limited it to 8 because we know we can guarantee that those 8 questions will get asked. This is what's most important. If they get flooded with questions, they'll pick and choose the ones that they like to answer, rather than the difficult ones, which are the ones that we've prepared. And that's what's important.
Mike.
Okay.
Mike. Go on, Philip.
Just to clarify in terms of the minutes and the information that Mike outlined at the start of this item about the process to follow, it was on the screen earlier and there are some papers dotted around. We didn't bring enough because we weren't quite sure how many people would come. But that information will be posted on the Sheffield City Council website linked into this meeting tonight. So if you want to see that outline of that process, the information will be there.
And just to say, in addition, before we wrap up this session, there will be information going out in advance of the 14th of May. So you'll be getting some literature telling you what you can do, where you can look, and what the process is. So we're active on that now, and we'll be starting that by the end of this week. Well, perhaps if you watch the webcast on the 14th of May, you might glean some knowledge about why those decisions have been made. I think some of us have worked very hard on this over a number of months to try and make sure that we have an equitable deal, but we didn't manage it. That's the reality of it. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for coming. I know it's a really difficult issue, this. And we understand that. I live on Cinder Hill Lane. I live in the cottages just round the corner in the Greenbelt. I know exactly what it's like to be under this sort of pressure. And we don't want it. So we support you. We'll do our best. We'll do as much as we can to get the best possible result. Thank you.
Just try and move on. Just to wrap up, there's one or two other issues. Our office wants to say something.
I, like the councillors, I'm a council employee. I just need to say, as I spoke to the planning department yesterday morning, I spoke to Philippa yesterday morning, the planning department will be holding a series of meetings and drop-in events, which we will publicise and put out on the LAC website as a council on their website. Some of the things that the councils will do in their political parties, we won't publicise, but on your tables, you've got a QR code for the WhatsApp group. We'll put information out on there, on the tables over there. And we've also just restarted the Facebook page, and we'll put those details out in minutes. So the official council planning meetings and drop-in sessions, as LAC officers, we will help support them in the local community and have the places you've come to and have those conversations. And we will publicise those. We won't be publicising it's a meeting from either any of the political parties, basically. We'll just do the official council ones, okay? Because they have two slightly different processes of meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Craig and then Richard, please.
Thanks, Chair. I wanted to just say, in terms of for people wanting to participate in that 6-week consultation process, it's really important that people make sure that your comments on the proposed plan are based around the planning policy framework. A good place to start, I would point people in the direction of the Campaign for the Protection of Rural England's website, cpre.org.uk. They're very experienced in making the case to protect the green belt, so that might be of interest to some of you.
Thanks very much, Greg. Yeah, useful information. Richard?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very brief. I think it's not great news tonight. The one thing I'd like you to please all take away and think about tomorrow morning is that what you put in during the consultation period can potentially make a difference. The inspectors are duty-bound to read it, study it, and take on board your comments. So, yes, the 14th of May is an important date, but you have got this 6 weeks period afterwards, and it can potentially make a difference to how the inspectors think. So, please participate in that consultation.
Yes. The more letters and people that respond, the better it is to get a view. No, not a group. Individual letters are much better. Yeah. Could I just say it's very emotional. We're all uptight. We're all engaged with this, and we will be for a number of weeks, if not months, if not years. So. If you can bear with the local council, all the councillors on this table and the 12 councillors in the north are passionate about communities and the residents we serve, whatever political party. So bear with us and we will try our utmost to get what you want. Sorry?
How optimistic are you? Are you very optimistic?
Don't know. It depends what other councillors and other areas want to do. We want to keep fighting, and while ever we've chance, we will continue to resist these developments. Yeah, thank you. We've got more items of business. You're quite willing to stay, but if anybody does want to leave, that's the end of the local plan, and then we can continue. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you. It's page 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and on to page 17. The meeting was held at Forge Valley School in February. Another meeting was well attended, attended by pupils of Forge Valley School. Very productive. Has anybody, any councillors, any questions on the minutes? Can we accept them? Yes. Thank you. Moving on. That way, yeah. Next we'll have the item 10, which is the budget report from Andy. Thank you, Andy.
In September last year, the local area committee set the budget for this year 24-25 as was. It was £100,000 for that area, and they agreed to split the budget against Great North Fund, Next Generation North Fund, £10,000 to support food poverty initiatives and the operations budget. That money and spending has been reported throughout the year, and there's an update since the last meeting we had in February about the funds that have been spent. The proposal for the budget for 25-26, we've actually only got £100,000 again this year. Last year there was some additional money which came from youth money and some cost of living money. So it's 25,000 per ward. The councillors have said that they wish to have and treat the money as a whole budget rather than a series of ward budgets. The proposal that I've worked up with the councillors is that there's a £50,000 Great North Fund grant budget for allocations up to £50,000, and applications will be invited to complete an application form, set out the benefits and the priorities of the local area committee. If that's passed today, we'll get that launched either tomorrow or on Monday next week. There'll be a £40,000 budget for projects that the councils wish to do and commission in the local areas, talking to local people in groups, and that will be held by the delegated budget in accordance with the authority granted by the LAC in September 2021. There'll be a £5,000 budget to support the work of the 2 cost of living workers in the North LAC area. That covers the 4 wards. And there'll also be a £5,000 operation budget, which pays for things like meetings and other going through items we have to do. A total budget of £100,000. What we're saying is, with the Great North budget, if we'll probably have 2 rounds depending on application numbers, one in June and the second in September 2025. So in May, and then the second one in September. The project's in October. I think that's probably it.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you very much. Thanks, Andy. Yeah. Are there any questions from members? Are we all agreed that we accept it? Agreed. Agreed. Thank you very much. Item number 11 is updates on referrals to policy committees. The LACs committees can refer items to policy committees, and at our November meeting, 2024, we discussed knife crime among young people and requested that the relevant policy committee considers ways of improving engagement between schools and community safety organisations on this issue. This was before the tragedy at All Saints, but it was referred then, and we were aware of the issues with knife crime, as everybody is. The issue was referred to the Communities, Parks and Leisure Policy Committee, of which both Councillor Rob Rice and myself are members of, and it was discussed at the meeting on the 31st of March 25. And the response shown is in the agenda pack, which is around. So we're making progress with that, and we've certainly got on the council agenda as a very important item. I say it was magnified by the tragedy at All Saints. Is there any comments from members regarding that? Yeah. Well, Richard.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, based on conversations I've had with young people over the last 24 months, I'm very keen that schools do get involved. Some of the stories I've heard about certain schools not necessarily in the north, but just generally across the city, where there has been a reluctance to admit that knife crime is an issue, which is absolutely ludicrous. It's a major issue to young people, and so the more that we can do through this, I think, is to be supported and encouraged. So thank you.
I'd like to add my own comments on that regarding the interactions with school. And I did raise the issues that Sheffield City Council has, in particular with engaging with academy schools, that because there is no firm legal obligation for them to work with the council, that approaching them and getting them to work alongside them might be difficult. So, and I know that we have got a number of academies up in the north area. I will be asking them politely to work with the council to make sure that knife crime reduction and awareness does take place across our secondary schools in the north of the city, whether or not they are academy schools, because it is something that affects all children, not just those in local authority managed schools.
Thank you. Marcia? Yeah. There we go. We have Sue, Chair of the Ecclesfield Parish Council, and Andrew the Clerk. Would you like to say a little bit about the VE Day, which we all celebrating next Thursday? I have brought all the leaflets on the back there, so they've been on view, yeah.
There you go, just take that one.
Hi, can you hear me now? Okay, so on Thursday of next week, we're celebrating 80 years of VE Day, and it will be in Ecclesfield Park, and we'd love to see as many people down there as possible. We've got all sorts of competitions, cake baking, fancy dress if you feel like it. We've got live music, lots of live music, and there will be a beacon lighting. So it would be really good if you could all join us for that.
Yeah, just mentioning about the VE Day celebrations over in Stocksbridge and Upper Don. I'm hoping it's okay for me to mention that we're also having a beacon lighting on the 8th of May, as well as on the 10th. We are having a VE Day celebration down in Fox Valley. If anyone would like to come down, it will be 10 while 3. Thank you.
Has anybody else anything to add to close the meeting? Thank you, that's left, and thank you for the councillors. It's been a difficult meeting, but I think we've got through it, and hopefully the people, the residents that came, got what they wanted to come for. I mean, it'll go on, and there'll be lots of things that will need to be done, but we just need to take it step by step and see how we can address the issues that have been put before us. Thank you all, and safe journey home. Thank you.
Thank you.